The holy grail of sailing is the Jules Verne Trophy, and an attempt started from France last Friday as two Ultim trimarans set off to try and break 40 days around the world. The two crews are both attempting to break the non-stop, around-the-world record, the No Limits Jules Verne Trophy, which currently stands at 40 days, 23 hours, 30 minutes and 30 seconds was Thomas Coville's Sodebo and Francois Gabart's SVR-Lazartigue, who set off within hours of each other. Thomas Coville's Sodebo Ultim 3 was first to start, crossing the virtual start line off Brest in western France at 21:03 last night, Friday the 29th of November. The liner was between Ouessant and the Lizard, UK. Sodebo set off at nearly 30 knots, though this morning they were some 100 miles behind the equivalent pace set by current record holder IDEC Sport. In order to break the record, Sodebo will need to return to cross the line by January 9, 2025, at 20:34 hours. Francois Gabart's SVR-Lazartigue then set off this morning, Saturday the 30th of November, at 8:51 local time. They will need to return by the morning of January 10th in order to break the record. Both teams set off independently, but their weather routing teams have identified the same weather window, which is currently forecasting the boats to reach the equator in around 5 days. In order to be in with a shout of beating the record, they will then need to be at the Cape of Good Hope within a dozen days of starting. Both teams progressively went from a code orange standby mode to code green before starting just 12 hours apart. Thomas Coville, skipper of Sodebo, explained, "The transition from orange to green is often quite brutal. You have to change mode and mentality. Personally, what helps me to switch is when I get dressed in my sea gear. When I put on my boots, it allows me to enter another world, that of a sailor." Crew member and navigator Benjamin Shorts explained the team's start strategy. "We will set off close-hauled or reaching to look for a first front in the south of a depression, with a tack planned for Saturday afternoon, then dive south in a wind that will pick up, so downwind. The objective is to go around the Azores high from the east and slip under it for a final jibe, probably Monday morning, which will take us straight towards the equator in about 5 days, so a little ahead of the record time." But he cautions, the window is quite short, insofar as the Azores high tends to emit a ridge, an extension, which closes the route to Portugal, so we will have to manage to slip into a fairly narrow corridor in time. Sodebo is sailing with a crew of 7. Thomas Coville, Frédéric Denis, Pierre Leboucher, Leonard Legrand, Guillaume Pirouel, Benjamin Schwartz and Nicolas Troussel. SVR-Lazartigue is sailing with 6, Francois Gabart, Tom Leperche, Pascal Baigori, Amélie Grassi, Antoine Gauthier, and Emilien Lavigne. For the Jules Verne Trophy, the teams may use onshore routers, and each will have a team monitoring the weather, position of ice, and potential routing strategies. Sodebo's is headed up by Philippe Legros and Simon Fischer, while SVR-Lazartigue's router is Jean-Yves Bernat. The current time was set by Francis Joyon on IDEC Sport in 2017, when his 6-man crew completed a non-stop circumnavigation in the non-foiling trimaran at a blistering average speed of 26.8 knots. Both skippers have claimed the solo non-stop around the world record, Coville setting a record time in December 2016 of 49 days 3 hours 7 minutes 38 seconds. Gabart set the current benchmark of 42 days 16 hours 40 minutes 35 seconds the following year, remarkably just 2 days slower than the crude record they are both attempting to beat, including an astonishing 24-hour record of 851 miles solo. In 2016, IDEC Sport and Spindrift 2 set off within hours of each other in the first head-to-head Jules Verne attempt. Both teams made it round, but neither broke the record. The last time two boats set off together was in 2020, when Gitana 17 and Sodebo started within hours of each other in late November. Both retired from their attempt early, Gitana turning back after 3 days after colliding with a UFO, unidentified floating object, while Sodebo had a great start to their bid, extending to over 200 miles ahead of IDEC Sport's position and regularly posting days with 30 to 35 knot averages. But by mid-December, they too had to retire after colliding with an underwater object and damaging the starboard rudder. The foiling Ultims are notoriously vulnerable to collisions, but in February 2024, Charles Cordelier won the first ever single-handed around-the-world race in the giant trimarans, after his Gitana 17 made the circumnavigation without stopping for a technical repair. He did stop in the Azores to avoid impassable conditions in the Bay of Biscay, with a forecast of 7 to 10 meter waves and 50-knot winds. That passage proved it can be done. With a crew of 5 men and 1 woman, the SVR-Lazartigue trimaran, skippered by Francois Gabart, began its attempt at the Jules Verne Trophy this Saturday, the record for a crewed round-the-world trip, non-stop and without assistance. After a night of observing weather files, the starting line drawn between the Kriak H lighthouse on the island of Ouessant and the Lizard Point lighthouse was crossed on Saturday at 7 hours 51 minutes and 38 seconds UTC. The goal was to return before 40 days, 23 hours, 30 minutes and 30 seconds, the record set in 2017 by Francis Joyon and his team. At the beginning of January, Francois Gabart set the date. On Friday, early in the afternoon, the 6 sailors cast off in Concarneau, the home port of the SVR-Lazartigue trimaran, in front of a large crowd that came to say goodbye. With a lot of emotion. Of course. After a night spent near the starting line observing the weather files in order to optimize the time to start the timer, the trimaran set off at 7 hours 51 minutes and 38 seconds UTC. Already holder of the record for the solo round the world in 42 days, December 2027, Francois Gabart and his crew began the ultimate challenge, trying to win the most legendary sailing record, the Grail. Winning the Jules Verne Trophy means becoming the fastest boat around the planet and writing one of the most beautiful pages in the history of ocean racing. Since the official standby was put in place on Monday the 18th of November, all eyes have been watching the evolution of the weather conditions in the North Atlantic, with the hope of seeing a favorable window open to launch this incredible challenge. It opened at the end of the week. There is something to try, noted Francois Gabart. It will be a close-hauled start in a strong wind and especially a very rough sea. Once these tough conditions have been crossed, it goes very well all the way to the equator and even further. The orange code, start possible within 72 hours, had been activated on Thursday. Then the orange changed to green, start imminent, this Friday, mid-morning. We have a window that is not easy, but records are made to be attempted, commented the skipper. I am very happy to be able to attempt this record with this team and this boat. It is the fruit of all these years' work. To succeed in this challenge, you need a good boat, and we have it with the SVR-Lazartigue trimaran. It has potential and is reaching maturity. You also need a good team, and we have it too, whether it's the crew on board or the team on land, without forgetting a bit of luck, and we're going to do everything we can to seize it. Even if I will continue to sail, this is probably my last round-the-world race or record, and I'm very happy to do it in these conditions. We know that there will inevitably be some breakage, I just hope it's minor breakage. You can't sail around the world without having some minor problems. You'll have to be able to manage them to maintain the boat's performance. It would be extraordinary to go under the 40-day mark. The goal is to sail the SVR-Lazartigue trimaran from the beginning to the end of this round the world. If we succeed, we will have fulfilled our mission. Having set off on Sunday the 10th of November, the IMOCA fleet in the Vendée Globe could well see the big blue boat pass by. If we are in the record range, it's likely, confirms the skipper. After following the race on land, we will follow it at sea. Even if the Vendée Globe sailors set off quickly, there is a chance that we will overtake them in the southern seas or in the South Atlantic on the way back. It's nice to see that there are lots of things happening at the moment in offshore racing around the planet. Having set off a little less than a year ago solo on the SVR-Lazartigue trimaran in the Arkea Ultim Challenge, the first solo round the world race for the Ultims, but forced to give up following a major breakdown in the South Atlantic, Tom Leperch is also delighted with this new start. Last winter, the round the world race ended too early, he notes. It's great to set off again with a crew. This Jules Verne Trophy represents one of the historic challenges of sailing. It is very important in an ocean racing career. I have incredible memories of the southern seas, so going back there with a crew is inspiring. The 6 of us form a great team with the desire to go as fast as possible around the planet. The boat was designed for that. In ocean racing, there is always the dilemma between wanting to press the accelerator and managing the boat. It's up to us to be good at strategy and to know when it's worth going very fast. It's a human adventure, but we also have to manage the mechanics over 40 days on the scale of nature and the planet. We're setting off to sail flat out in balance on the oceans for 40 days. We're even hoping for a little less. To achieve this, we'll have to come back before Friday, January 10th, 2025 at 7 hours 51 minutes and 38 seconds UTC. This record format is very special because we went to bed on Thursday night without knowing that we were going to leave. On Friday morning, we had breakfast while wondering about leaving, and the decision was made at the end of the morning. I wondered how I was going to react, and in the end, it's really exciting. We were lucky not to have to wait too long since the start of the standby. Win mode is activated in our heads. We are 100% in the spirit of the record, but it's certain that if in a few days, the files show that the conditions are no longer favorable, then we will have to agree to try our luck again later and not stupidly persist with a bad option. But for the moment, the option is well and truly open. 40 days for a round-the-world race is very fast, but the SVR-Lazartigue trimaran has everything it needs to succeed. It's very fast. We have a great tool in our hands, and we will have to take good care of it and exploit its full potential. The team is also perfectly designed for this record. Francois has thought carefully about its constitution, and everything has been very fluid since the beginning of the preparation. The closer the start has gotten, the more I have measured the luck that it represents and the height of the challenge that we have to honor. I can't wait.
La voile, je suis tombé dedans quand j'étais tout petit. Mes parents faisaient beaucoup, notamment mon père qui faisait de la compétition. J'ai passé tous les week-ends et les vacances sur la plage, et plutôt sur l'eau que sur la plage d'ailleurs, surtout objet flottant. J'ai toujours fait beaucoup de J80, de match racing. La course au large, forcément, me faisait beaucoup d'œil. À côté de ça, je menais des études d'ingénieur en électronique. Et j'ai réussi à allier les deux en arrivant chez Sodebo pour mon stage de fin d'études d'ingénieur. J'y suis resté 5-6 ans. Et là, j'ai rejoint l'équipage pour tout le programme de cette année, dont la tentative de trophée Jules Verne cet hiver. Le fait de travailler au quotidien dessus depuis 2 ans, ça permet de connaître beaucoup de petits détails qu'on n'a pas le temps quand on vient de l'extérieur. Sur ces bateaux-là, il n'y a pas beaucoup d'espace, donc il faut vraiment bien s'entendre. Et aujourd'hui, sur le groupe qui est constitué, la mayonnaise prend bien. On va tous dans la même direction, chercher la performance, et on a cet objectif commun. La famille, c'est un des gros challenges également, parce que je suis jeune papa pour la 3e fois depuis juin. C'est compliqué parce qu'on n'est pas dans la même temporalité. Et l'idée, le tour de la Terre, du coup, ça va partir de Brest. Et on va faire tout le tour. On va descendre ici. Forcément, on plonge aussi dans l'inconnu. J'avoue que les grandes mers du Sud, je suis impatient mais aussi un peu effrayé à l'idée de les rencontrer. C'est vrai que quand on voit 9 mètres, c'est impressionnant, mais ça doit être vraiment magnifique. Dans la course au large, être les plus rapides autour de la planète, c'est un peu un Graal. Pouvoir en faire partie, c'est vraiment un rêve qui s'accomplit.
Il y a un truc que je veux, c'est qu'on se marre. Faut qu'on se marre. Faut qu'on rigole. Hein?
Ah bah oui.
On n'est pas venu là pour se prendre le chou, se faire chier. On va aller vite parce qu'on va se marrer. Ils ont tous des trajectoires extrêmement différentes les uns les autres et leur histoire convergeait vers ce moment-là. Ils sont obsédés par le truc. Ils sont habités par le fait d'y aller, chacun pour des raisons différentes, chacun pour une histoire différente. Et j'adore, mais vraiment, j'adore ça, quoi. Je suis touché qu'ils aient choisi de venir avec moi, et moi je suis touché de les avoir choisis qu'ils viennent avec moi.
Je fais le décompte, je sais pas qui avait ça, mais c'est pas une bonne idée.
Ok, bah voilà, dès qu'on est prêt, demi-tour et...
Ça va couper la ligne. Et ça coupe la ligne maintenant. Ça coupe la ligne. C'est parti. Allez, go, go, go.
T'as pris Thomas?
Bien reçu?
Ouais, j'ai reçu, mec. C'est parti les gars. Allez.